Shalom, Pasadenians, and everybody who's watching these videos from anywhere. I'm frankly shocked that as many people are watching these videos as they are, but I'm so grateful for that. I'm grateful that you're able to find this valuable, and I'm really grateful that you are joining us to count the Omer here at PJTC. Today is day number 30 of counting the Omer. We have officially been doing this for a month, legit a month. And we're well over the halfway point. It's just like 19 days left until we're done, and I'm going to miss you so much. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Today we are talking about the attribute of Hod, which I shared with you in the Hasidic tradition is related to Jewish prayer. And Jewish prayer has a couple of components as our sages understand it. Those are Keva and Kavvanah. Keva has a connotation of fixed or fixity or routine. It's important to have a routine or a habit of prayer. Kavvanah means intention or the spirit behind prayer. It often feels a little bit more spontaneous than a rigid schedule, let's say. And both are important in the work of Hod. As I shared with you yesterday, Reb Zalman said the attribute of Hod is like doing your dirty laundry, you know, that stuff that you got to do for regular hygiene and maintenance in order to face the day and face up to your challenges. And the Keva aspect of Jewish prayer is related to the idea that we have 3 prayer services a day, a little bit more on holidays. Often within the services, we pray the same prayers in the same order every single time. But even our sages were concerned that if all we had was that fixed routine, prayer becomes rote and loses its sort of sense of feeling or personal intention. That's where Kavvanah comes in. And that brings me to my favorite story about Jewish prayer, which makes it my favorite Hod story as well. There was a story first, or most noticeably told by Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid, who was one of the Hasidei Ashkenaz, one of the early pious ones in Germany, or what is now Germany, back in about the 12th century of the Common Era, so 1100s and change. And he told this story of a shepherd who had a particular prayer that he would say every day. Thing is, he was a shepherd, he was working class, and back then that meant you were probably illiterate and probably worked hard outdoors every day from a very young age, didn't get a chance to go to Hebrew school, so he didn't know the Hebrew prayers to say. Jewish guy, but didn't know the Hebrew prayers to say. And so he just poured out this prayer of the heart, and he said, God, you know that if you gave me a sheep to watch, I would watch that sheep for free. Even though I normally charge people to watch sheep, but I would watch your sheep for nothing, because I love you. And that was his prayer. Isn't that beautiful? And one day this scholar, knowledgeable in all Jewish things, including punctilious prayer, guy was walking from town to town sharing his Jewish wisdom, and he hears this shepherd in the field praying in this odd way. And you know how some scholars love to correct people. He runs up to him and says, stop what you're doing. You're doing this all wrong. The guy said, well, I don't know any Hebrew prayers. He's like, well, I'm glad I'm here to teach you then, pal. And he sits him down and he teaches him all the different Hebrew prayers. He teaches them when you're supposed to say Shachrit and Mincha and Mari, these 3 prayer services of the day, that you say the Shema twice a day, and you say the Amidah 3 times a day, and here are all the blessings inside the Amidah, but it's slightly different on Shabbat and holidays, and teaches them all the ins and outs of Jewish prayer in order, the right blessing to say over bread, the right blessing to say with wine, fills this guy's head with all the rules, and then leaves. And he feels pretty good about himself. He says, I helped another holy Jewish soul approach heaven with a proper grammar. And he goes on with his bad scholar self, and then about a month later, he has a dream. And in this dream, he hears a voice. And the voice says, my young scholar, a great misfortune is about to befall you because you have robbed me of my most precious blessing. And in his dream, he asks this voice, what are you talking about? This is terrifying. And the voice says, go ask the shepherd. And he wakes up and he immediately knows who the voice is talking about. And he packs his gear, goes out on the road, finds a shepherd, and says, how you been, buddy? And the shepherd says, not good. And he says, have you been saying all the prayers that I taught you? And he said, no, it was too complicated. I forgot all the different prayers that you taught me. It was just too much to keep in my head at once. And the guy says, well, did you go back to saying what you used to say about being a shepherd for free? And the shepherd says, of course not. You told me that was wrong. And immediately the scholar felt terrible. He says, go back to saying what you used to say. Pray from the heart. Because as everybody knows in Masechet Sanhedrin, page 106a, the compassionate one, Harachaman, desires the heart. And this is my favorite story about Hod. And I wanted you to hear it from me because even as I'm talking about Hod and Jewish prayer as this sort of hygienic act, this sort of habit that prepares us for the important work. It's putting our feet in the right place so that our hands can do mitzvahs. I didn't want you to get the idea that prayer is all about doing exactly the right Jewish prayers in exactly the right order in ways that can be intimidating, insurmountable, baffling. And prayer is that one activity where ideally you're feeling ready to talk to God as you would talk to a friend, as Rabbi Nachman of Breslov would say. And don't let its regularity be daunting. You can pray whenever you're motivated to pray, whatever words are in your heart to say. And that too is very Jewish. The reason we have this long list of prayers and blessings and the right way to do it at the right time to do it and a whole schedule worked out, those are a structure of support to hold us up when we don't know what to say or we don't know when to say it, or maybe we haven't thought that we need to check in with God and our own best intentions on a regular basis. As I often say during the regular service, if you want to lean on the words of our tradition, they are strong. They will hold you up. It's also entirely appropriate to pray whatever words are in your heart. And that is just as good routine maintenance to keep you on the right track as any particular schedule or words. That's my favorite story about Hod, my favorite story about prayer. I would love to hear if you have some stories about prayer or exemplars of prayer you've heard from our tradition, like Hannah praying in a way that Eli the priest thought she was drunk because she was so passionate about it. There was another story about Rabbi Keva got so into it when he was praying that he'd start off in one end of the room and he'd finish at another end of the room. Maybe a story of prayers being answered, or maybe story of prayers not being answered when they shouldn't have been. It's entirely up to you. If you have a story you like about prayer, I'd love to see it in the Facebook group and the YouTube comments. Send me an email or write it down in your journal so we can check on it later in the week. In the meantime, don't forget to count day 30 in the Omer after sundown tonight. And until next time, Pasadenians and all my friends everywhere, peace.